Hey everyone, I wanted to make another quick video. It seems like you guys are enjoying these kind of shorter 5 or 6 minute long videos going over just some quick trading techniques, and I wanted to make a quick video on how I would grow a $10,000 account. $10,000 is kind of an interesting spot because I think it's worth it to get the IA suite at that price point, because you can use the tools and you can use TradingView to really grow your account. And I'm going to go over maybe two or three different ways that I would grow an account. Now, again, I would say this is like maybe $10,000 that you would be trading with. It's always good to still have an investment portfolio that you plan to hold on for the long term. But many people are just getting into our community, or they're just starting to learn how to use TradingView. And if I had to start over today, this is exactly what I would do with $10,000. First off, as you guys know, I love MicroStrategy, and I think, first off, the best way to grow your capital is by investing it in the right assets. And I think MicroStrategy, Tesla, are my two favorite assets. So just by trading those two assets alone, your capital is going to grow. But as you guys know in my last video, I love the ARB Cloud tool. And this video is not going to go in depth into each of the trading techniques. It'll just be a broad overview on how I would maybe split up $10,000. So this is MSTR over the past year. And again, in my last video, I went over the ARB Cloud, where what it does is it tries to estimate a fair value of co-integrated assets. So in this case, MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. So when MicroStrategy is below cloud, and you can see that here, we poked through the cloud on February 7th. This is when you would buy MicroStrategy. And then when we poke outside of the cloud, that's when you sell MicroStrategy and you swap it for Bitcoin. And I put a spreadsheet together. Again, I just did this for 1 year of time. I put a spreadsheet together to kind of get an idea of what the math would look like. You can see here, I started not even with the full $10,000. I just started with the 2,500 bucks, saying, hey, I'm going to try maybe some different strategies with that $10,000. And my first trade was just at the beginning of the year. I would own 0.05 Bitcoins with that. And you can see, even with that trade we just discussed just now, on February 7th, you would swap Bitcoin for MicroStrategy. So again, let's go to February 7th. Let's see where I got that trade. If we go to February 7th, yeah, it's right here. And I know it's a bit hard to see, but in real time, this is pretty easy to do. You can see that we were beneath, oops, maybe not there. Where's February 7th? Right here, we were beneath the cloud, it looks like, for even 2 trading days, February 7th and February 8th. So I tried to do these calculations just based off of looking at what I was most likely going to do. But honestly, you could probably beat what I put in the spreadsheet, because I didn't even grab the prices from these wicks. And when you wick down way beneath the cloud, this is when you start layering in heavy. And when we look at the Google Sheets, just swapping between MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, you can see if you just hodl your Bitcoin, hey, you're still going to have 0.056 Bitcoin. That's worth about $5,700 today. If you had $2,500 of MicroStrategy back in January, you definitely outperformed Bitcoin, and you would have $13,894 today. So that's a pretty good return. I believe that's about a 6 to 7x on your money. But if you pair trade between just MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, which are correlated assets, again, this is much easier than pair trading between MicroStrategy and Tesla. You can see that you're going to grow your Bitcoin from 0.056 all the way up to 0.28 Bitcoins. And then MicroStrategy, you're going to grow your shares. And again, I don't know how many shares you start with here. I think it's like 36. But you'd grow it to about 76 here. But if you do the math, you would start with $2,500, and you're going to end up having almost $29,000 by doing your swapping between MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. And that's honestly with pretty lazy swaps. Like when I calculate Bitcoin price, I just use the close of the day for that price. But you can definitely get much better entries by looking at those wicks down and trying to nail those bottoms and those tops. But even with just somewhat, in my opinion, lazy trading, you're still going to 10x your $2,500. And this looks like a lot of trades, but if you really look at it, it looks like it's 22 trades over about 13 months of time. So if you can 10x your bag in 13 months, that's pretty effective, I would say. So you would take essentially your $10,000 bag and you could potentially turn it into 100,000 just by swapping between MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. Along those lines, a lot of people are trying to trade MicroStrategy Tesla. I find this is a lot more tricky. And the way that I do it is I lean on IADSS here and mean reversion. For example, here we got a big buy signal and mean reversion was really low. So I remember swapping a lot of Tesla for MicroStrategy back when MicroStrategy was only, I think it was about $120. But when I did the calculations for this, I just started at the beginning of the year on this sell signal and I waited for optimized trend to close. And that kind of defined my top range. And then this bottom range, I kind of, it was a work in progress. If I got rid of this, I remember when I was trading this earlier in the year, I kind of had more of a thesis that this range would look somewhat kind of like this. And the reason why it looked like that was because MicroStrategy had run up so much in the beginning of the year and, it was consolidating, but now we could see that the 200-day moving average is up and to the right. So what that means is, remember, when we do MicroStrategy divided by Tesla, when you see a buy signal, that is in reference to the numerator or for MicroStrategy. So this means buy MicroStrategy, sell Tesla, and this means sell MicroStrategy, buy Tesla, right? So again, I tried to do the most realistic swaps I could, but I really just follow IADSS on the 4-hour quite a bit and try to use the optimized trend to really nail those entries. My biggest swaps this year were right here on July 8th and here on September 6th. And that was because the 4-hour IADSS signaled and we were right on the 200-day moving average. Again, I was actually swapping quite a bit of Tesla for MicroStrategy in here because we've been falling beneath the 200-day. And I know when we go to the Google Sheets, I didn't put this huge wick, but this is a time where you start to layer in heavier out of your MicroStrategy to buy Tesla. So this, when you see crazy mean reversion spikes like this is when I start to even reach outside of my trading bag, of the swapping bag, and I start looking at, maybe if I'm over allocated to MicroStrategy, I'm going to start selling portions of that to buy Tesla because this is a huge 3.0 mean reversion spike. When we go to the Google Sheets, you can see here, there was only 6 trades. I just really used IADSS and some basic optimized trend. And again, these are pretty laid back, easy swaps just on mean reversion and IADSS on the 4-hour. And you can see here, if you started with $2,500 in April, you're going to still 3x your money roughly at about 6,000. But by swapping it, we're able to grow our 15 shares of Tesla to 42. And then our 17 shares of MicroStrategy to 59 shares. So that, again, is another rough 10x in value there as well. And that is super helpful for people who have smaller portfolios because I know a lot of people want to start selling covered calls, but you need 100 shares. So to have 100 shares of MicroStrategy or Tesla, you need $30,000 to $40,000. You have to have some trading techniques that can grow your portfolio before even starting to sell covered calls. And that would be still a strategy I would recommend for people with a smaller, maybe $10,000 portfolio, is to find some, I like Marathon, I believe, and you can see I have the ARB cloud, and I've even tried to look at how to ARB Marathon. But if you just look at even the option premiums for Marathon, you can buy out of your $10,000 trading bag, maybe you buy 100 shares of Marathon at $20, and you start selling very aggressive covered calls. So you could sell, let's say, a $23 call a Marathon, which is at about, looks like $168. So you collect that premium. That's an 8% return already. And then the goal is actually to get called out of this position. Obviously, you sell signals, wait for the time to really do it. But if you can bank the run from $20 to $23, remember this option expires in 30 days, let's do the total ROI on that trade. Well, you make $250 by buying 100 shares here, selling them at 23. So 250 bucks, that's already about an 11 or 12% return. And then you're also going to make an 8% return. So you can make about a 20% return just by selling cover calls and marathon, and you only need $2,000 to buy 100 shares. So if you can make a 20% return every 30 days, and your portfolio is going to grow fast. Even if you just sell some conservative cover calls, let's say you're doing, maybe some point 0.3 deltas and you're making about 115 bucks every month selling cover calls and marathon. I did some brief math, and if you can get about 6% in option premium on these miners, which is relatively easy to do, you're going to grow your portfolio by 100% in just option premiums per year. And you don't need even the assets to do very much. But we're hoping that Marathon appreciates. So yeah, I hope that helps. I used to generate a lot of these spreadsheets on how to you know swap between MicroStrategy and Bitcoin, and then MicroStrategy and Tesla. And I think learning your swaps and learning PTOS and learning how to buy and sell these assets is the most effective way to grow a smaller portfolio. So I hope that helps, and let me know if you end up trading some of these pairs. I'd love to see some of your results.